It's that time of year again. It's early May. It's time for another Floyd Mayweather fight. A Floyd Mayweather event. A bonanza, extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. It's here and it's against Marcus Maidana. And it seems like a routine now. Regardless who Floyd is fighting, before every single one of his fights over the past few years, there's been a sizable contingent of people who come out and say, this is the one. This is the guy who's going to beat Floyd Mayweather. It happened before the Mosley fight, happened before the Canelo fight, happened before the Guerrero fight, and it's happening before this fight against Maidana. There is a sizable contingent of people who truly believe that Maidana is going to beat Floyd Mayweather. Now, anything can happen in boxing. It only takes one punch to change a fight. You know all the cliches. But I think these people are letting their hearts rule their heads. For the most part, it's wishful thinking. The people who are predicting Floyd's demise before every single one of his fights for the last 5 or 6 years, or most of his fights, these people are hoping that this happens, and they're hoping that their wishes will manifest themselves in reality if they wish hard enough. But I can't see that happening. Right? I can't see that happening. The Marcus Maidana that I've seen throughout his career, I can't see how he beats Floyd Mayweather. The only way that I can see Maidana winning is if Floyd maybe opens up a little bit too much because he's trying to get Maidana out of there and please the crowd because the fight's too easy, and then Maidana catches him with something. That's possible. Okay? Or the only other scenario is that we see a Marcus Maidana who's at least 50 or 60% better than we've ever seen him before. Those are the only two scenarios that I can see. And in terms of the scenario B of Maidana being 50 or 60% better than we've ever seen him, that does sometimes happen. You do sometimes get a fighter who comes in and just on one particular night, he's just on fire. And he's never boxed like that before in his career. A great example would be Buster Douglas against Mike Tyson. That was pretty much the only time in Douglas's career where he boxed that well. You know, everything came together for Buster Douglas on that night. The hand speed, the combination punching, the jab, the confidence, which was a big thing for Buster Douglas, the coordination, everything. Douglas always had talent, but it never all came together on the same night before, along with the determination and the will to win and the confidence that he needed to make the most of that talent. But when he fought Tyson, it wasn't just a case of Tyson not being at the races, Tyson not being 100%. No, it was also a case, and I would say that this was the biggest factor in him winning the fight. It was a case that Douglas was just a hell of a lot better than anyone had ever seen him before. That's why that upset just caught people so off guard, because no one had ever seen Douglas box that well before. So it would take that type of transformation, that type of metamorphosis from Marcus Maidana tomorrow night, in my opinion, to stand any realistic chance of beating Floyd Mayweather. If we see the same Maidana who fought Adrian Broner, he's going to get picked apart, in my opinion. He'll get destroyed. And I've never picked Floyd to win a fight by stoppage since the Hatton fight. I thought that he would knock Ricky Hatton out in 5-6 rounds. I was surprised it went as long as it did. I've never picked Floyd to win by stoppage since then. And I'm not picking Floyd to win by stoppage against Maidana. But what I will say is, I think that he's got a better chance of getting a stoppage against Maidana than he's had in any fight since the Hatton fight. Because of the fact that Maidana's so defensively reckless, because he lets his hands go so much, you can catch the guy. And Floyd Mayweather, he does have brittle hands, but Maidana's a guy who gives you opportunities to hit him clean and hit him clean on the chin if you know what you're doing. So you won't, you know, there's a very good chance you won't be hitting elbows and foreheads and stuff like that to injure your hands. So I think there's a better chance of Floyd stopping Maidana than there has been in recent years with his other opponents. And also on top of that, Jose Silva talked about this on his channel, is that Maidana don't have an iron chin. Maidana's got a good chin. He's got decent punch resistance. We've never seen Maidana totally out of it. And he's been hit by some big punches from guys like Victor Ortiz. But he does go down, Maidana, and he does get hurt in fights. He has very good recuperative powers. No doubt about that. But he does go down. He was down early in his career. I urge anyone to go watch the fight against a guy called Omar Leon. I believe it was Omar Leon. Or yeah, I think it was Omar Leon anyway. The name of the guy. He was a journeyman in Argentina. And this guy flattened Maidana. He dropped him hard. And this is a person who don't have many knockouts on his resume. That don't mean he can't hit hard, but he's obviously not very prolific with his punches. He dropped Maidana hard. Maidana was down several times against Victor Ortiz. He was hurt against Devon Alexander. He was hurt against Eric Morales. He was hurt against Josecito Lopez. He looked under serious pressure in the Soto Carras fight and looked like some of them shots were hurting him as well. You can get to Maidana. He was stung by Adrian Broner. So I've got no doubt that, you know, Floyd might not necessarily be a massive puncher, but I've got no doubt that he can hurt Maidana. He can definitely hurt him. And Maidana gives you so many opportunities to hit him clean that I think it's the best bet of Floyd winning by stoppage over the past 5-6 years is this fight right here. You know, but again, I'm picking Floyd to win a decision. I still think, even though he has a decent chance of a stoppage in this fight, I still think Maidana will probably see it through to the end. But yeah, that's how I see it, people. I don't think Floyd's going to lose this fight. I could be wrong. Again, anything can happen in boxing, you know, the cliches, but I just can't see what you other people are seeing who expect Floyd to lose this fight. Floyd is an excellent fighter, people. Don't kid yourselves. A lot of people look at Floyd and they look at his fights, like I say, with wishful thinking. You know, credit where credit's due. Floyd Mayweather beat a very good opponent in Canelo Alvarez. And a lot of people seem to have amnesia because they were saying Canelo was a good fighter. They were saying that he's going to beat Floyd. And then when Floyd beat him and dominated him, now people are back to saying that Floyd is a massive hype job and he's this, that, and the other. Look, he might be overhyped in terms of saying he's the greatest fighter of all time and whatnot. But don't kid yourselves. Floyd Mayweather is a very talented fighter. Very talented fighter. He may not have fought all the best competition throughout his career. Yeah, that can't be denied. He may not have always taken on the toughest challenges. That can't be denied. But for the people he has fought, he's looked excellent for the most part. His technique, his timing, his balance, his reflexes, he's looked excellent. His defense, obviously. And the Canelo fight, I was very impressed. Okay? People want to come up with theories that it was a fixed fight, this, that, and the other, and it was at a catch weight, which it definitely was at a catch weight. Again, that's Canelo's problem. Canelo agreed to fight at a catch weight. So if there's anyone that you want to take your anger out on, take it out on Canelo. Yeah? No one forced him at gunpoint to fight Floyd at 152 or 151, whatever the catch weight was. No one forced him. He agreed to it. So if he agreed to it, then take your issue up with him. You know, I've never had an issue with catch weights. Yes, Floyd is a hypocrite for criticizing Pacquiao and then doing it himself. That's a separate issue. But in terms of catch weight fights themselves, they've been around long before Floyd and Pacquiao. I've never had a problem with them. If the fighter who has to come down in weight is happy with the catch weight, then I don't see why anyone else should be upset about it. It is what it is. Anyway, Canelo may go on to be a special fighter. That remains to be seen. But from what I've seen from him so far, he was a dangerous fight for Floyd Mayweather. And it was an impressive victory the way Floyd beat him. You know, it was impressive. Anyway, drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel about this Mayweather-Maidana fight. If you truly believe that Floyd is going to lose this fight, explain why. Because I've dissected this fight so much, I just can't see how Maidana stands any realistic chance of winning. Like I say, unless Floyd is trying to put on a show for the fans and gets a bit too, you know, cocky, which is not really in Floyd's nature. Floyd is a safety-first fighter. He takes very few risks in the ring. He don't want to leave anything to chance. He wants everything to be a sure bet. He wants to make sure that the gravy train keeps on rolling. And to do that, he needs to keep on winning. So he might have little fleeting moments in fights where he thinks, okay, let me try for the knockout. But then a split second later, he's like, nah, let me not risk breaking my hands. Let me not risk letting this guy land a big shot. And he goes back to doing what he does. So Floyd would have to act very out of character to give Maidana a chance in this fight to land a knockout punch. And Maidana would have to perform way above the level that we've seen him before, in my opinion, to have a realistic chance of winning. A lot of people are comparing it to the Hatton fight, saying that Maidana might be able to rough Floyd up early. Yeah, maybe that could happen. I also see a possibility, another thing people haven't really talked about. I think there's a possibility that Maidana could get disqualified in this fight because he's made no bones about the fact that he intends to be dirty, that he's not going to feel any way about committing fouls and whatnot. And if Maidana's really getting picked apart by Floyd, don't be surprised to see him upping the number of fouls that he's committing. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. In fact, that might be a bet that I would actually take rather than taking Maidana to win or Floyd by knockout. A bet that I would take, and you probably get decent odds, is Floyd to win by disqualification. That Maidana, gets disqualified. I think that would probably be a decent bet. I ain't checked the odds, but just off the top of my head, I think that might be a decent bet in terms of, scenarios that could happen. You only need to lay down a little bit of money. If you lose, no big deal. It's just a little bit of money. But if you win, you probably win big. So drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel. This is Hatman. I'm out.